There's a lot of people that discuss about anime, and a lot of people do discuss about the series that we're going to be talking about today, Monogatari. Monogatari is a series that has been created by Nisio Isen, and while many people do have different approaches of talking about this anime or the series in general, I want to focus on something very different. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to talk about when it comes to this series. There's a lot of things you can point out, whether it's scenes that you find interesting or provocative, or something of the mystery. But there's really something I find interesting about Monogatari, and that is the atmosphere, the aesthetics, and the feeling of this world. Something feels off, as if strange. Maybe it's from the aesthetics, from the art style of the novels illustrated by Vofon, or maybe it's the interpretation of how Studio Shaft interprets this series into an anime. When there's one thing that I really want to point out that a lot of people seems to not pay attention to when it comes to the Monogatari series in the anime, or in its world, is that it feels very bare, as in, for a city, there's never people in the background, nor when it comes to sounds, you don't hear anyone else in the background. And I do not say this as a negative. In actuality, it's a straight positive. It adds to this uneasiness, and also it adds to this feeling that while things are happening, it feels like the world is not there. I think the best way to say it is that it gives off this uncanny feeling, the uncanniness. And Studio Shaft does this amazing job when it comes to catching this aesthetic. It almost gives a feeling of like the movie Cure by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and if you've never seen this movie, it almost gives off that impression, the feeling of the ordinary becoming the unordinary. It's quite an unsettling feeling, and I truly love that about the Monogatari series. Originally, when Nisio Isen written the Monogatari series, it began as a trilogy of short stories, and I believe it was published on Mephisto magazine in 2005, meaning that it wasn't meant to be as ongoing as it is now. But I love this world. It's very different, and honestly, Studio Shaft definitely uses this anime into their other projects, such as the Mekaku City Actors anime, which is inspired by the Kagero Project, or Kagero Days by Jin, and that is a series I would like to talk about in the future, but not for this video. And you also see this influence of this anime aesthetic being put into Madoka Magica as well. It gives this otherworldly feeling, almost the uncanniness, and it does it so well. It's honestly surprising what Studio Shaft can put into the other projects, or it's just interesting to see the influences of how far it goes for this otherworldly feeling. And some people could argue as well that the dialogue of these characters does play into effect of how this anime feels, especially since it was inspired by the manzai comedy, which in effect is essentially a traditional style of comedy in Japan that essentially is like a double meaning or a double pun. But I'll let you, the viewer, decide on the aesthetics on how you feel about it. I know some people may be drawn more towards the provocative side of things when it comes to this anime, or the jokes and dialogue, but I really want to focus on this world, because it's very otherworldly, and the pieces of how this story is told is not in chronological order. So there are a lot of videos on how should I watch this series, or which order I need to watch this series for the story to make sense, and honestly, I am in the boat of you should just watch this series in the order that the anime releases from, so starting with Bakemonogatari, and then just working your way up to the recent releases of this anime and how far it's come. That way, you get the pieces, but it's not all put together, because it's up to you, the viewer, to put this piece together and understand what this world is presenting itself as. and putting together the pieces of Araragi and the things that happens around him. I know I haven't really mentioned much about the story, the plot, and the characters, but I really do think that this series is one of those stories, or one of those series, that it's really best to go in blind and just experience it yourself and slowly put all the pieces together. I know there's many of you that are anime only watchers when it comes to this series, but if you ever read the light novels, there is a lot of wordplay for sure in terms of its dialogue, but also in terms of the aesthetic and how the world represents itself in the novels. It gives off the feeling of how I'm describing it, almost uncanny, otherworldly in this normal supposedly world. And I hope that by me making this video, it really puts that aesthetic on either how you feel or how you approach this series in general. But I hope this video does make you feel something, which is that feeling of unsettling. Thank you for watching my video. This script was written a few months back, and I really hadn't had time to actually edit and make this video because I work a 9-to-5 job and I'm a very busy person. So I do want to thank my one fan for actually pushing me to actually make this video, and please don't try to pay me to make videos because I really just want to make videos I'm passionate about. And I also do want to make approaches to videos that is different from, the typical YouTuber. So I really hope you enjoy this approach and this aesthetic of how I approach anime. And maybe in the future, I would like to talk more about this series, but as of now, it's just one step at a time. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this different approach to anime and things like that. And with that, thank you to everyone for watching.